god, did I press the wrong button? Oh. So, hi guys. Today I'm continuing my work on this simulator that I'm building. Well, it's mostly like a trajectory simulator. And the idea is that I have like this raylib environment that I have created. I've got like a bunch of random obstacles. There's no collision detection yet. That's something for another stream. And right now I am basically able to like let's say fly in this environment. Now it's got a bunch of simplified physics, and I'm starting to better understand what, let's say, non-simplified physics would look like in this thing. So for now, let's see. So one of the things I wanted to do is basically have this kind of plots, right? So this is from Peter Kork's book that I'm actively reading, and this is kind of a stuff like page, I don't know, 124. Is well, 100-ish. Yeah. And let's see what it can do so far. You can start it, and it starts very, very fast. And you can go forward. That's kind of expected. So initially this was, let's say, I think it's called a kinematic based simulator, which was the simplest one. And to be honest, I feel like maybe I should have kept that as well, because maybe that's something I'm thinking of, because now I'm basically making more and more complicated robots. And like the previous one had this this UAV here, and now this new UAV is like more complicated. And to be honest, I feel like one thing I should have done is maybe have so let me say exactly what I mean. So this one uses acceleration, like it doesn't have any gravity like the entire simulator, but it still has it has like acceleration, right? So if you stop, it still goes a bit, right? And you can see in the logs, it still goes. Like the velocity is very small, 0.0 whatever. It goes down all the way to 0, and then it fully stops. Eventually, I put like a threshold over there. I think it's around here, yeah. So I just cut it if it's this low, so it doesn't just go forever. But basically, operating, and you can see like even if I press Q and I take my hand, it still rotates a bit. So it's a bit hard to navigate. And the second issue is that the what is it called? The controller that I have is no longer usable. Right, because this controller was based pretty much on the old logic, where you would basically the move function. I have the move function here, which is like the main thing. This used to take velocity, and now it takes acceleration, and that was a big change. And I'm thinking about maybe I need to generalize a bit the UAV function, and you need to provide like a bunch of stuff. So for example, you need to have some parameters, and for example, drag coefficient, this one is specific to this robot, right? But the previous one was specific to the previous robot, and so on. So I need to maybe kind of start generalizing a bit the concept of a UAV and how complex it is, but I need to like maintain like a fine balance between it, because obviously this UAV operates in a simulator. So if the simulator supports, for example, the concept of gravity, then I need like the drone to also feel the gravity pretty much. So I need to understand exactly where I should put. So in the plans here, I have this physics dynamics, and basically now I'm somewhere at this level, at level 2, more or less. So no gravity, but I have like some sort of acceleration and stuff. But the first one, it's a bit weird how it's written here. Yeah, but input to what? So yeah, because I think this is a better way. So basically, level 1, you input velocity, which is not physics real. No, not basically. Apparently, the way you model this kind of physics environments or physics like concepts is that you have an engine, and the engine outputs a force, and that force is basically due to like this F equals m dot A. So the engine outputs a force basically at each instant, and you get an acceleration based on that force because the mass is kind of constant, right? So you will get A equals F over m, right? So you get an acceleration, and that's what I have right now, right? Yeah, and we are here. Now my problem is that the level 1 thingy is kind of a different robot. It's like a kinematics robot, that's what it's called. I'm wondering, how should I split the robot environment simulator design? Basically, level 1 robot. So I'm kind of trying to understand how to design this thing, because for example, like a whole environment, and the environment has like some physical components, right? So if you're underwater, you have some forces, if you're in the air, you have some forces, and so on. But then you also have like objects in this environment, and you want to model the relationship between the environment and the robot. And if you have like a robot that's less physically accurate, for example the level 1 robot, then it behaves differently. They can't cleanly, because the levels describes different physics. Level 1 move velocity, level 3 move range. Robot owns its dynamics. Gravity is an environment property. The robot doesn't have gravity, it experiences it. The environment applies forces to the robot applies forces to itself. level 1, the robot doesn't even have a concept of force. Gravity can't act on it because there's no force acceleration velocity pipeline. It's a teleporting ghost. Totally understandable. And that's what I want to still support. Level 3, move range. Forces flow through mass / inertia into acceleration, into velocity. Yeah. So what they say here is basically the following. Let me. I'm still learning this, so I may say a bunch of stupid shit, but whatever. So basically, I kind of had this question: so how does an engine work, right? So you have an engine, like a physics engine, basically, right? And apparently, the best way to think about it, if it would be like a function, it's this. So at every instance of time, so at every t, at every t. Okay, that's not very. Oh my god. At every t. We have like a value here, so it's a value. Let's say it's a how would I call it? I don't know how to call this value. Maybe u, maybe just input. I don't know how to call it. We have an input, which is a value between 0 and 1, like a percentage, and basically it's the percentage of force that you want the engine to produce, and the output is a force, right? So this is like a float, and this is like a physics thing, so it's in newtons, right? Newtons. Newton. So this is like a float, right? It's a float. So now, of course, the engine like kind of converts like its energy into this force, and it's got like, I don't know, maybe it's oil-based engine, or it's like an electric engine, and so on. So doesn't matter. But like generally speaking, you input like a percentage between 0 and 1, so value, and that represents how much force you want. And of course, the engine may have like a maximum force it can output, so 1 is like max and 0 is 0, and so on. And now, because this thing, you have F equals m over a, means, well, a equals F over m, right? Yeah. So that means through m you get an acceleration. Right, so you get an acceleration, and we know from physics that acceleration you can integrate it basically, because this is like the derivative of the speed, right? So you have like speed, or you have position, this is position, and then you have d over dt of x equals v, or equals x dot, and this is velocity, I think it's called speed. Oh my god. Velocity. And basically you do the same, maybe like, let me just, okay, doing this in Paint is a bit hard apparently. Like, how do you, okay, undo is weird. Okay, so like that, flood, fill, black, actually black. So you can do this, and then you go to the brush, and you can basically derive it again, d over dt of x prime equals acceleration, right? So this is acceleration. So if you want to go the other way around, you integrate, and basically you go with the following principle. So if the definition of a derivative is basically how do I put it? Maybe I'll do something wrong. So this is just a random function here, d over dx of f. I think it's f. Oh my god. F of x minus f of, well, x minus x0 over x0, right? So, and this is like a small x, basically. This is also written as f prime or f with a dot. So if you do it the other way around, then you have like, this is t in this case, you can do it the other way around. So that means you can get the speed, alright, so you can get the new speed by basically appending the previous speed. So what I'm trying to say is that you can get speed of t equals speed of t minus 1. Let me just make sure I don't do this as plus a, or well, dt or t, better said, or t. So you can do this pretty much, as long as you have a small enough t. This is a good approximation. So you can get the current speed as basically adding the acceleration times this delta time to the previous one, and this one is a value which you can get from here basically. So the engine outputs this, outputs the force, and through this, like you just get v t equals this is what I said earlier. So you integrate and you get velocity, and then you integrate again and you get the new position. Alright, so this is like the standard way of doing it. And kind of what I'm doing right now is that I have an input, I get an acceleration directly. This is what I have right now. There's no concept of a mass, but it's no problem. But initially what I did is that my input would skip both of them and it would get a velocity. And I still want, because you have a velocity, basically you get a position for free by doing the same thing. So I want to support the previous. So now this is what I call level 1. This is level 2, which I currently have implemented. This is level 3, where you add mass. And I think it says for level 3 you also need to add another thing, which is what do you want to have here? Inertia, harder to rotate. So you also need to get inertia. I wonder why. So why not just force? Why do you need inertia? Range. Where is inertia here? Drag coefficient, I have that. No, there's no concept of inertia. What the fuck? Inertia. Divide by mass / inertia. So I guess inertia is the mass in acceleration. Yeah, I think so. So inertia is just the mass of acceleration. Oh my god. So the equivalent of mass in rotation, I'm sorry. Yeah, because I think mass is centered, so the you know, there's this thing called the partiform whatever, where basically you have flat field, and basically like this. So the thing is the following: if you have like an object, it has a mass, right? This is like the mass, which is kind of centered around a single point, and the idea is that it is uniform across the entire body. So that means the body has the same mass everywhere. But apparently for rotation, that's not true, because rotation sucks. So let's say you have a 3D object. Yeah, basically have like 3 axes here, right? So you have x, y, z, so let's say z, x, y. Maybe this is not the correct way to write them, but it doesn't matter. And apparently you need like this new thing, which I think they called it inertia here, but I heard about other ways to call it. There was that Jacobian matrix, where you basically have like a matrix and you say, okay, how much does x depend on x, and x depend on y, x depend on z, because you may have like different forces needed to be applied on various rotation. And I think the best one I read about is this. Let's say this is a broom, right? And basically if you want to rotate it around this axis, right, it's easy. But if you want to rotate it, for example, around the other axis, so that means like this, it's not so easy. So you can rotate it like this, you can rotate it harder like this, you can rotate it, so you have this, and you have this other one, like this. Obviously, it's hard to imagine 3 rotations in 2 dimensions, but basically the idea is that one of the dimensions is easier to rotate and 2 of the dimensions is harder to rotate because of the way the body is like designed. And for a mass you don't have a problem because the mass is the same like everywhere, but the rotations are not the same everywhere. So that means you need to somehow model that. So let's say, yes, exactly, mass resists changes in linear velocity, inertia resists changes in angular velocity, IA, which is like the acceleration. Mass is scalar, inertia is a 3 by 3 tensor, diagonal symmetry bodies like in UAV, blah blah. Okay, cool. So inertia is like the mass for rotations. Alrighty. So let's see where I am. So let's go back to what I was discussing earlier. How do I keep the previous UAV? Okay, now let's make a, hold on to this. Yeah, and have like some sort of a configuration file. I think it's time to have a configuration file. Right, because I want to have 2 robots. Maybe let's not have. Let's have like something like this. So it's called UAV, but maybe it should be. Maybe I should have like another class. It should be called robot. Like a generic one. Scene object, yeah. Scene object and serializable. I think. Usually I put them the other way around. No. Generic robot. Alright, and I have a move function, but it doesn't specify exactly. I know it needs to be a value, but I don't know what. So in this case, yeah, it's an number array, so maybe value. It's a number array, that's what I know for sure. And I think it returns a what? Not boolean, an exceptional or none. Yeah, this basically is like a did it perform the move or not? So basically this is like the interaction. So receives a value, velocity, acceleration, force stored and returns none or error. Okay, cool. So now my UAV, which is this bad boy here, should I maybe have like a name, maybe a name or a type or some shit? type will be based on the type pretty much. Cool. So then let's have the following. So instead of a UAV here, I will make it a robot, and this should be a. Should I just call it level 2 UAV? Level 2 UAV. Acceleration UAV. UAV level 2. Maybe let's just call it level 2 for now, and maybe come up with better name. And I have a level 2 robot, right? This is where we start, diverging a bit, but here I may need to have robot type parts. I will just add this. And parts testIR type is a function that I always keep re-implementing. Basically is parts testIR type. Any, return a string, return. I think I need to copy paste it from somewhere, just to be sure I don't mess it up. Yeah, parse this here type, self. I have pose, blah blah blah, color, velocity, drag coefficient, and so on and so on. And this is basically maybe level 2, and maybe level 2. So maybe every robot should have a pose. Yeah, let's think of this. So every robot should have a camera, maybe. Maybe that's not necessarily true. Some robots may have multiple cameras. But every robot should probably have a pose. How about that? Pose self current pose of the object. Yeah. I don't know, so in other projects I have this thing implemented in various ways, and it's also a bit annoying to do it. I mean, definitely need to have a pose, because this is how I draw the object, right? So if I have a pose, I can move this here, right? Yeah. Okay, and that's nice because it forces me to have a pose. Initial pose or whatever. Self type pose, save pose, save the pose, pose, yeah, sets the pose. Yeah, I think this is the right way to do it, but that means that my UAV needs to basically do this. Git pose equals pose, I need to do it like this, which is good. Okay, so I have a from dict to dict, update camera, select camera. I think this is fine to be here. Velocity, acceleration, and velocities are specific to the robot. Move, okay, it receives an acceleration. Return none because no error. Level 2 robot. Level 2 robot, yeah, so this is, maybe this should be robot. I like UAV, but I think it should be robot. Because you don't know what kind of robot you have, right? In the future we're gonna have robots, but I think robot is a better, more generic name, and that means, okay, well, I go here, and so let's see, I have select.uav, I have select.robot, and this should be first person, I think. First person. No, this should be robot, I'm sorry. This should be first person. TPD, let's put like this. So probably a camera. Interesting. And that's true, like how should you be able to do that? I think you should. For now, I think you should be able to do that. In the future, you may not be able to do that. Why not? Okay. UAV components is robots. Though this shouldn't be robot, I think, or no, I don't think it should be robot. Because robot from that's not callable. I think it needs to be type self robot. Yeah, it needs to be. Oh, but you cannot do that. Okay, it needs to be like this. Wait, is that correct? Oh, you need like a constructor here. Wow, okay, so you need a constructor because you may not know what kind of robot you have unless you look at the name. Okay. So robot type equals match state, no, equals like this. UAV level 2, sorry, maybe like this. UAV level 2 state robot type. And again here, and you have like robot type, yeah. And I think in robot you have type, right? It's robot type. Yeah, let's put type. Okay, because you know here already. Yeah, set equals Should have a function here. Alright, state.uav, which is the same, state.robot. Robot type. It's the same. Build robot. Maybe I should have robot dot from dict. I should have a build robot from dict or some shit. Build robot from dict. Build robot state robot. Should have some shit like this. Build robot state robot. And build robot should be a function here. Maybe it should be even on robot, just so it's clear. And it should be a static method. That should be like static method of the robot self state. And it's here. Sequence robot builds the robot from a state. Interesting, it doesn't like it. Robot type. It's the other way around, by the way. Okay. And since there's no self, it's a big robot. Alright. Okay, so this one has to have the following. So I'm going to assert is instance scene UAV level 1, which doesn't exist yet, by the way. Okay, so you have this crap. Scene.robot. So UAV equals scene.robot. I think this one is supposed to work. With a level 1 robot, this is supposed to work. And we'll try it again. Print in there, okay. But UAV. Any acceleration. What is this? You have no idea what this is. To do velocity acceleration thingy. Yeah, because you need to have like a generic move here. replace this with raylib, so at least you have certain instance will be available to type raylib using robots. So hard to generalize this crap in a proper way. I just wanted to move from one robot to two types of robots, and it's already all over the place, and they're the same robots, just different commands you can give to it. You give it velocity versus acceleration, and it's already turning into shit. Okay, sim that you do. So robot update camera. So update camera is basically okay. Maybe all the robots need to have a first person camera. .1f, but I think the message here should be robot position. Okay, I think I need to round it. Around I have, okay, 1, and then topple, and open quote. Can I do that in one place? I don't think I can, but maybe. That was so close. I think what's missing here is basically the ability to say robot goes select robot. And all the places, so this is just a robot. And this one goes like this, it's sim.robot, it's just robot. I think I saw one more issue here. Oh, it's the initial, so just level 2. Okay. I don't know if this will work, but let's see. Let's go to a different branch. Minus B, multiple robot types. Added robot property class to scene. Added robot class and the robot property scene. Current type okay, so we have a something that hopefully kind of works. I think I need to add camera to robot as well. That's something I probably should have done from the get-go. So you should have some shit like this. Suppose that's it. What if I do this? You have this. I have update camera. Based on position. Like this is not an abstract class anymore. It only has this move thing, which is kind of fun. All the robots have a camera apparently. It's updatable. Okay, so that means this doesn't complain anymore. This is called only once, so that's fine. Maybe it should be called on move. Right, if no, we cannot do that. Alright. Questionable. All robots also have a camera object. Alright, let's see. What's the chance of this working? Probably 0%. Okay, so UAV and 496. So this is the robot. Okay, assert is instance level 1. Oh, on the controller, yeah, because this no longer needs to be here. Alright. The chance of this just working out of the box. Alright, did not work. Because I know what I did wrong. Yeah, that's a different bug. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have this here. Maybe I should have it here. Oh my god. Okay, need at least one. Yeah, this should be to do check if enough points on different missions later on. Reverse acceleration thingy, based on robot stuff. Okay, let's see. I press loud, F5. F6 does not work. 190 type. Yeah, because this is just state type here. Alright, and you can see like the acceleration still goes. Alright, then I press U and well, it doesn't work because why doesn't it work? Oh, it doesn't work because the mission is not implemented. Okay, okay. I take like a 2 minutes break and I'll come back. This is good progress, I think. Actually, I can maybe do some shit like this. So where is it? Blah blah blah. Where is controller? Controller. There we go. This controller. So I have if with instance robots AV level 2, controller level 2. Oh, could I do match? I feel like this is the only way to do it, right? UAV level 2, controller level 2, and we have UAV level 1. It's funny because I have controller level 1 and UAV level 2 implemented right now. Controller level 1, level 2, and this type robots, and this is a control class controller level 1, but I also should have a control level 2 because why the fuck not? And probably this one is identical. Let's put it below because level 1, actually let's keep it there for now. Relative blah blah blah, get relative velocity. Should be just be a utility function probably, yeah. Get relative velocity. Relative velocity. From poses. So 0.6D, is that correct? Should be correct, right? R3. The fuck? Returns a number of 6. It's a 0.6D, okay? Returns a relative velocity. BW, is that correct? Yeah, because it's angular velocity. From 2 poses. Used to compute trajectories. Alright, cool. So I have that. Where's your max velocities? I mean, it totally depends. UAV, this should be robot, but it should be UAV level 1. I still don't have that, but that's a level 2 thing. Run What are going to do like this? Yeah. See? What do you not like? So control level 1 or control level 2? Type. Some of this goes around because that. Let's see if they see. Alrighty. And yeah, I can do that, but if I, okay, if I press that doesn't work, if I do that it should return nothing granted error. Right, be right back. Be right back. Should I, let's see, can I do something smart here? I don't think I can, but it would be nice if I could. Maybe I can do something nice. Yeah, the client currently doesn't do a lot of things, but it could do. So let's think. Can I do smart netcode here? Yeah, ask Claude. So please connect to the active server and move the around. Use netcut localhost. Use the state for current position and move command to move around. Do that and continuously move around the scene for 5 minutes. Send as many commands as you wish, but make the plan for nice trajectory. The UAV must be always seen. You can even change the active camera. Good luck. Alright, so let's test the AGI. Testing AGI. Text editor. Can I do this bigger? Oh, I can. Be right back. Ai fost la magazin?
is fucking bad. Flight complete. Oh, clean braking. Where is my drone, man? Oh my god, I pressed something, it broke. Oh, active camera. Shit. UAV. Ah, fuck. Okay, so it didn't work. But I think it's because changing active camera, setting camera to. Yeah, it needs to be FPV. First person view, first person view. Yeah, camera type. Yeah. FPV. Excuse me. I wonder what it did. Oh, it did like an entire fucking thing. Holy shit. Banner. Oh, fucking banners. Okay, so it is like some sinusoidal thingy. Okay, so does this work? Feel the AGI, guys. Look, this is a fucking GI. Maybe I can ask you to draw like a penis or something. Yeah, so this is one way I like to work with Claude. So basically I design like the things and then I ask it to like run it, so it's like a tester for me. And I think that's a nice way to like keep, you know, me working, and also, you know, not rely on Claude too much. I don't like relying on Claude too much. Look at it, it does things. Slightly works. Make it move faster. Can it change it on the fly? Haha, on the fly. Make it move faster. Oh, there we go. Wait. Also show. be right back. Yeah, so this is what Claude came up with.
Alright, so let's continue working on it. Well, just going. Is it ever coming back? Here's another thing. The FPS kind of goes. It is not running on GPU. I think it's running on CPU. Yeah, no. No GPU. written. Hi. Hi over there. Hi. Do you use C++? No. I use Python in this code. This particular code, it's written in Python. It's using raylib, which is this C library, like a high-level wrapper of OpenGL, but I'm not using C++. I've used C++ in the past, but this particular code is using Python. Trying to make like a kind of robotic simulator, very, very basic. Alrighty, so yeah, what I'm working on right now is basically trying to kind of grasp this like UAV concepts, or maybe better said like a I'm basically trying to make a simple simulator. And right now I have a drone that's only doing acceleration, so that means I basically have this move function which gets acceleration, and you get acceleration from WASD, so from keyboard, and then I just integrate it. So the current velocity is just the current acceleration added to the previous one, to the previous velocity, times delta time, which is just the frames per second, so this is 60, 1 over 60 percent. And that results in this movement, where basically I press W, and then I take my hand off, and it still like drags a bit, right? Because it still has some acceleration, so that acceleration adds a bit to the current velocity, and eventually it stops. Like, you have to wait a bit, but eventually the drone completely stops around here, I guess, or very soon. Wait for it. Yeah, so now it's completely stopped. Obviously the last iterations don't really matter, but and unfortunately I'm using float 32, so this kind of also slightly drifts, but it's okay. Yeah. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to add, so I have this robot which I called UAV level 2, which is acceleration. I had a previous one which was UAV level 1, which now I no longer support, so I want to support again. And I'm trying to do that. And that shouldn't be that very hard, because I still have the code. I mean, the code is more or less the same, is that just that I had max velocity here, and the draw function is identical. So maybe I can even copy paste it from the old code. The code is here on this repository. History. Yeah, I think this version had the UAV. Plus UAV. Yeah. I think I can just copy paste this and work with it. Alright, where did I copy paste it? UAV. Alright, so let's see if I can make this work again. So these ones are no longer here. I need to do software that we need. I code in C++. Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I used to code in C++ a while ago. I want to make 2D games, okay, or CMDs. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I just started doing, let's say, more like graphic stuff. So I don't call them games. Games imply like game design too. So it's just graphics. All right. Cool. Let me try to finish implementing this UAV level 1 thing, which is velocity based. So I need to, okay, this one is no longer here. Change UAV level 1. Level 1. This one is here. Okay. I need to do this if blah 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 renormalize. Self-oppose. How do I do this? 0303. I think I need to do this, but I need to just self-oppose 0303 equals some shit like this. Okay, and I need to move this here in the utilities. Renormalize rotation matrix. What? And this is a 3x3 matrix, so I should probably make a special one. It's like a rot 3x3, 3x3. And I think I need a tolerance here, float equals 1 equals 10. So if is R, just return it, otherwise do this crap. Return new rot. And I think this is rot. If these are rot, return rot. Yeah. So if you do 2D games, you probably are not very familiar with 3D stuff. And to be honest, me neither. I just kind of started learning about these things. But basically in 3D you need to have this rotation matrix, which is a 3x3 matrix, and sometimes it drifts if you do a lot of transformations over it, so you need to renormalize it so it matches this property. So the property is that it's multiplied with its transpose, which is the opposite rotation matrix, should result in no rotation basically, and that's equivalent to this. So this is the diagonal matrix, right? The 1, 1, 1 diagonal matrix. And if this is not true, you need to renormalize it, and the way you renormalize it, or one way to renormalize it, is using SVD. But you don't want to do this very often because it's expensive, so you do this only when your rotation matrix kind of drifts. Okay. I think I need to add this type here, which is robotics3. This is because Python doesn't really support types, so I just like having type hints. It's easier for me, so I kind of create these fake types based on NumPy arrays. So renormalize rotation matrix, and I think this goes here, and yeah, tolerance is that thing. Okay. Hoping this is correct. And I have this here, and I think I need to do the same in this other part here. Yeah. UAV level 1, blah 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 blah, pose. So I need to do this UAV level. I need to have type here. Because I added type here, parts to still type 1. And I think I need to add an assert here. State type equals UAV level 1, state type. So this is serialization and deserialization. You know, sometimes, because I want to serialize my scene, so this is basically the scene serialized, and basically it says like where the drone started, where it is now, and got like other stuff like yeah, where it is now is the pose, okay, color, and then have some parameters like what is speed, what is max acceleration, is current acceleration, drag coefficient, yeah, all of these are like serialized in this JSON file. So yeah, Python is good for serialization, deserialization. It's much easier to do this than C++. I think you can do in C++ with these like reflection things that are more recent, like with meta programming stuff, but in Python you don't even think about this stuff because it's interpreted, so like it's much more dynamic in that sense. Okay, so let's see, UAV level 2, where do I start it? Here. So let's try to do UAV level 1. And let's see what I had previously. So I had max velocities, right? So I have, instead of this I had max velocity. Max velocities equals max velocities. Some shit like this. And this is how I used to start it. And max velocities was just this thingy here, which I can put UAV level 1 hash params. Right, and you have this, you need to config, this is a different thing, global init config. Okay, you have FPS, you have DT, which is 1 over FPS, so this max velocities goes here. So let's see if this works now. Yeah, it doesn't work because, yes, 667, okay. Interesting. That's true. I used to have some code for that as well, I think. Where is it? Here. So let's see how I did that. Oh, and you have dv and dr, which now it's a different thing. How should I call this? Maybe I should ask Claude for it. Use instance of robot. But I don't like this. This just looks ugly. DVDR, which what should I call it? Move vector. I don't know, something stupid. Should be called, yeah, move vector maybe. Move vector. And maybe I just do this here. But maybe some other vectors. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I need to know. Let's ask a bit Cloud. So let's see. My handle file trying to get to robots. Let's move velocity and move acceleration. Da?
Faci stream acum?
All right. Yeah, naming variables is like the hardest shit. I don't know how to call this because like robot of type A receives velocity, robot of type B receives acceleration. They both like, so this is just a very fancy way of writing. If you pressed on key right, that means the right button. If you press on A, if you press on D, so it's basically the keyboard commands, and it adds stuff to the velocity vector. Let's see how. Naming, control input. Ground robot, 2 inputs. So the input is a property of the robot, not the physics. It can be less than 6, never more for single blah blah blah. In control theory, this is the control input. Okay. U in the xdt. Okay. Because x is the current position, and u the fuck. So, how do you call the input here? Valve position. The input is somewhere here, I think. Controller. Controller. System. Maybe it's system input. System input? Control input and control oh my god, how do you go to the next line here? Is this valid Python? How the fuck does this work? This is interesting. Control input here. Maybe I should do it like this. Control input engine. Maybe I just go move engine. Yeah, I feel like this thing shouldn't be here like at all. I think I should do it differently, maybe like this. So control, control input. Control input equals sim.robot to manual key movement. How about that? Manual key movement. And then the move function itself should do this no operation. It's interesting when you're trying to generalize from one thing to two things, even two things, you need to like refactor a lot of code because a bunch of assumptions that you made about n equals 1 no longer apply to n equals 2, and it's a nice way to think about designing software because it's easy to write for n equals 1, get something stable, and then you go to n equals greater than 1, in this case n equals 2, and you realize that, oh wait, maybe I need like a manual key movement method. It makes sense, right? Like maybe you want a manual way to control your robot. So now this code lives inside the robot. And then also this code I think velocity is something that should always be on all the robots. And also position. It's a bit hard to, but I think you need position and velocity. Like all the robots should have that. And acceleration too, maybe. Applied input, control input. The fuck, copyright? The fuck is this? The fuck? Okay. Current velocity. This should be part of the robot. Yeah, but maybe not. Maybe I need to do pose. Maybe I need the current pose. That's guaranteed to always exist. Okay, then I also have this function which is because it's not static, the static function should go up actually. Right below the constructor, maybe right below the abstract method here. Fine, now I think here. how did I call it? Move key. How did we move? No. Keyword. Key something. Manual key movement. I don't remember how I called it. Manual key movement. Okay. And funnily enough, okay. Manual key movement, self and returns an array. I think it should return as zeros. Yeah, zeros of self dot control input ending. Which is basically nothing. Called on each frame to manually control the robot. Returns to zero vector. I think here I need to control input ending 6. Okay, cool. What else do I need to do? It's annoying. Why doesn't this work? Work pickaxe. No, it doesn't work. Oh, because it can fail, I think. Okay, so I need to go to UAV level 1, which is this bad boy here, and I need to create a new function. Move. Manual key movement, which should return a number array. Okay, should be this bad boy. Then you can get it from here to here through manual key movement, and it's the same here. Manual key movement, and you get a numpy array, which is the acceleration, and acceleration equals this bad boy. That's it, huh? We get acceleration, which is input to the move function here. Current velocity, very cool. Manual key movement. This one didn't look very self dot. I wonder why. Oh, self dot self. Okay. All right, that's how does it look now? Let's see. Do I have 1,000 lines yet? No. Okay, now I think the no operation should happen in the move function. Basically, there is a no operation thing, which is like a property of each of these things. So let's do it like this. So if blah. So I have this if self.velocity self and all is level 1 robot, so this is just if velocity equals 0 tall, return, just return, and return. It's a bit annoying. I think I can do it like this. If single robot pose does return nothing, maybe that's where I call this. Maybe I need to maybe I need to tune the tolerance here, but I will see that. Don't print, don't spam the log, the drawing print mode. Okay, I have the chance of this working. Well, it started. Press W. Invalid velocity. You are an invalid velocity. That's a big velocity though. 1. Why 1? Max velocity 0.1, so something is going on there. Oh, yeah. Let me just see this. Yeah, max velocity is here. There you go. Yeah, it's back. Okay, so this was level 1 robot, which was easier to control. Now the question is, can I have level 2 as well? Without anything crashing. Oh my god. This one here. And it works. And can I press T? I press U doesn't work, okay. Oh, because I need to press Y first. If I press OK, it says not implemented error, that's great. And let's go back with this other one. Press U, and I press Y, press U, and it works. Damn. Oh yeah, so that worked. Very interesting. Very interesting situation. Seems to kind of work. Okay. Let's see if I can use a config file here. This is with level 2. So if I F5, I save it, okay, restart, I have 6, okay, it still works. Amazing. That still works. And then, let's say I change it from UAV level 1 to UAV level 2. And I go to UAV level 2. I start it. Now it's a UAV level 2. If I F6, it just reload from the previous state that had a UAV level 1. No idea if it works. I think it works. It feels like UAV level 1, but it has no acceleration. If I reset now, what will happen? I wonder. It should go to UAV level 2 because the initial config was a UAV level 2. Damn. Damn, this is amazing. Wait, I pressed T, it didn't work. See that? What the fuck is that? Let me see if I can show you. Kind of cannot show you because I don't know why I cannot show you. Where is my drone, man? It's like totally lost. Interesting. All the things are fucked. Definitely fucked. The camera is completely broken. At least the UAV camera or the FPV camera is like totally broken. I don't know why. Totally broken. Nothing. No. Okay, so there's a bunch of bugs, for sure. I think this is a good refactor. I mean, not a refactor, but it's like a generalization. Now I have another idea, but I don't want to do it yet, but it should be quite trivial to support 2 robots, right? Like each robot has its own command queue basically. This means I need like a thread for each client. If each client has its own drone, it's a bit harder to code, and I don't think I want to go into that yet, but I think it's very much possible. But that goes in the idea of like netcode and shit. Oh my god, I did that. Fine. I think I want to do this. Nice. Multiple robot types. Be right back. Nic, oh my god. Mama. Okay, I'm back with my number one viewer. Which wants to leave the room, but cannot. Alrighty, so let's continue this thing. So what do I want to do next? Let me see. So I think one of the things I need to do is that I need to always send velocity and acceleration. Okay. Because if I don't do that, the client. So I can have a client. I didn't show that. Maybe is anyone here actually? So let's look into that first. Kanica. So her name is Kami, and she is a is number one viewer from here. Yeah. All right. All right. So I'm the only one watching, right? Yeah. Anyway, so what I can do, which I didn't show, is the following. Basically, I can you can do the following. Anyway, it's going to be a bit hard to code, but I will try. All right. Let's see if I can show you. So the thing is, I can start a server. So basically, main.py, right? You can start a server. And what I showed earlier is that whenever I start a server, I mean like this simulator thing here, there is also a port, right? So what's good? Robot with ABC, clean polymorphism, robot build factory, handle IO, robot agnostic, parsed, okay, renormalized, extracted dash, small issues. Alright, so let's look into small box. So this is UAV, but this right should be robot. Alright. Move command hard code 7 args. Won't work for level 5, but that's fine, that's for tomorrow. Yeah, exactly what it says here. Level 1 velocity equals 0 should be for consistency. What? 286? What issue is that? Oh, velocity? I mean, true. I think I need previous velocity equals 32 equals server velocity equals. So I think I need to do that, and I think I need to do the following. Velocity equals velocity of copy. I think I don't even need to copy. I think velocity equals velocity. I think I need to do this. That if I do not do this, I cannot compute the acceleration. And then here I can do max velocities. But let's see what I do here. Max acceleration, drag coefficient, whatever. That's relevant. So I think those things are more important. So, okay, those okay, but this it needs to be like this. This one is important to exist in all the robots, I think. Excuse me. So I have type, color, pose, velocity, acceleration. Okay, and velocity and acceleration is basically velocity. I just do an approximation of the acceleration based on the last two velocity. Self velocity minus self that previous velocity over dt and twist, right? Should be like this. Approximate, basically approximate acceleration by twist. O tu pensă că the velocities can approximate an acceleration. The velocity is directly set by the move function. The pose is directly set by the move function also. Which is questionable. Some neighbor is doing some noise, yeah. Now, of course, now I'm wondering, maybe the output of the move function should be a delta pose. Very curious. Maybe not. I think it's fine. The move function changes the pose and the velocity and the acceleration implicitly. I think that's fine. Okay, so now if I have all these terms, what are they? Unreachable, return, blah blah blah, dead comment. I was wrong. What other ones exist? Okay, so besides this one, which kind of makes sense. Already fixed, future problems, scalar initialize, inconsistent but maybe intentional. On line 286. What? Dead comment on 697. What? Oh my god, did you reread the file? I think it uses the memory here and it's a bit stupid. Unreachable return. No, I was going for my earlier read. Okay, reread it. See, this is where Claude is a bit stupid. Holy shit, what? 318? That's, I think that's true. So previous velocity equals, oh. Yeah, maybe I think I have a copy here. LM 286, is this a, yeah, maybe it needs to be a different one. So the previous velocity, velocity, which is the velocity. TCP is still okay. To dict doesn't include max velocities. What? On line 300. That's a bit under that. Level 1. max velocities, it says, okay, that's true. So this is level 2 specific. Below this one should be the same across. So you can reuse both velocity and acceleration all the time. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So I think that's one of the bugs I'm experiencing. After load state dict are reset, robot local variable in main.py still points to the old robot object, but scene object is a new one. Same for controller. The AGD and produce the stale robot. Okay, so after line 7 times, what is that's line 753. Excuse me, what? It says after load state dict robot local variable in main. I think I need to use scene.robot every time, I think. And I can always like say robotical scene.robot, but I should probably do it here. On load. Yeah, I think now it's better. Well, this is a robot, and you do robot update camera, controller run, blah blah blah. I mean, this one is still debatable. Let's see. Okay, edit. Reset. The chance of this type robot. Where is it? I think here. Okay, so you do that, you do that. If you press F6, it's a different type of robot. If you press R, F6, I think I fixed it, okay. If you press F2, F6, F2, it's a different type of robot. R, F2, it's a different type of robot. I have two types of robots, holy shit. And I think it's fixed. Can even press T, yeah, press R, F6, T, R, T. I think I can even do the thing, it should crash. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do not implemented. That's a bit sad. I should say lower up there. Not implemented. Reset. And I think I should do mission state equals mission dot not started. Mission state not started. And yeah, I should never get to this other one. Yeah, because I think I can do this. I can go F6. I can start, this means I started the other robot. I can do this. Oh my god, it lags. Okay, it doesn't lag anymore. I can start adding some points. I can press T, I can press U. Not implemented resetting. Huh, well that's interesting. And I think it's the same bug. Oh, because controller. Oh. Oh, that's such an interesting problem. Because I initialize the controller based on the initial drone type, then I change the drone type in the middle of the run, and that means I don't change the controller. Controller is kind of supposed to be attached to the robot. So interesting. Yeah, the controller needs to be attached to the robot. How do I do that? One way I could do it, that I could separate the controller from a controller function. And instead of controller that run, I mean controller that run makes sense, but it goes through a controller function. I need to think what is it. Yeah, so the problem is the controller is it needs to be a controller function, but how do I do that? And it goes in the good direction because the problem is right now this function it needs to be created on mission somehow. So the controller needs to be somehow part of the mission or of the scene or something, not created at the same level at the scene as the scene, but rather it should be like a property of the scene or of the mission, because the controller is obviously specific to the mission because the mission may be different. It's also specific to the drone because the drone may behave differently, but so different types of drones. So it's a bit hard. I have Krita. I feel like I need that's nothing, so maybe that's fast. Krita. It's not fast. Kiev. This is slower than me. Alright. Let's go middle. I wish this was better. Alright, go to blackboard. I usually write stuff on this blackboard, so. Oh, no. Oh, okay, but how do I make it thicker? How do I make it thicker? Is that the thicker button? No, it's not. Okay, no. Jesus. Okay, how do I make it thicker? I keep asking the same question. Shapes and, this is, what does it say? Shapes and lines. Okay, that's emojis, but this, I just want to make it thicker. Holy shit. Tools, stickers, frame, shapes and lines. They should be here, but I totally forgot what maybe it's based on this thing. Smart drawing eraser. That's cute. Wait, something is, oh, there you go. Holy shit.
sticker. Holy shit, it's not sticker. Maybe it's this one. No, I just want it thicker. I mean, I know I can zoom in, but holy shit, I just need to zoom in like 100x. Building sticker. Yeah, I'm sorry, I proposed Miro. Okay, that's what I want. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Yeah, so I have UAV type 1, right? So I have UAV1, and then I have UAV2. Alright, so I have 2 of them. And then I have like an environment. So these are like possibilities. And then I have like an environment, I don't know, like here. Okay, maybe just let's say it like this. Environment. An environment. Oh my god, this looks terrible. So I have this and this, and then I have an environment, I have 2 possible UAVs, and I have a mission, right? Which is this other object, which is also part of the environment, but the mission is also I mean, has I think it's has on all of them. Let me, how do I erase? There was an eraser here, right? This bad boy. Right, eraser is not that bad. I think, so it's either one of these two, so it's a has and then it also has a mission, and then a mission is kind of some shit like this. Because the mission is based on each of these two. So the way I would probably do it is that the environment is a mission. That's actually not wrong, that's stupid. Because then I have like a controller. I think any of the this is wrong. No, this is wrong. And the hazard thing is fine, but what's wrong about it is this. I think it's supposed to be like this. Let's say UAV. Then you have has and it can be one of those two. It's like dictated by this thing here. Maybe UAV. Okay. You have this, you have that, has a. And then there's a controller, and I think controller is somehow is a part of the, is a combination of the mission and the UAV, so it's some here, let's put it here, controller. And I think is a, so it's like is a, and I think it's also is a. Somehow controller needs to be specific for each drone, because you have like 1,
2, right? This one maps to this one maps to this one. So this one is the same as this one. And then you have a controller for each mission. Maybe a mission has a controller. No, a drone has a controller. A drone has a controller. A drone has a controller. That these ones are just related. This one solves, or control solves a mission. An environment has the mission, environment has the robot, and the robot has the controller. I think this is the right way to think about it. So that means that the robot, or the UAV in this case, has the controller. That means it needs to instantiate it. Of course there may be multiple, yeah, I think the controller is somehow tied to the UAV, so it needs to have, well, maybe the scene is supposed to have, so maybe this one has a controller. And I think it's probably better like this. I think probably this is better to implement, and this is complicated. So the environment has the mission as well. Environment has a controller as well. Yeah, I think the environment has a controller. So I need to instantiate this bad boy at environment level. Could be serializable, maybe not. But definitely I think the environment needs to have a controller. Yeah. So let's see how I do that. So I have scene equals, I think I need to have like a controller. Does the controller need to do anything? I think it controls the scene in some sense, right? Did I recall that correctly? So what does the controller do? Okay, it does a bunch of stuff on the scene as well. Actually don't know how to reason about this. Who the fuck owns the controller? Yeah, who the fuck? So it needs to solve, so it needs to set the state of the scene. It does a bunch of ceremony on the scene for sure. Also needs probably to be controlled from outside. But that's like not our job. I think it needs to be created when I start the mission, which is so weird. I need to start the controller when I start the mission, because otherwise it wouldn't know what type of robot it is. The other solution would be to start the controller on each frame, but that just creates a shit ton of objects for no reason, which is why I'm not gonna do that. I'm not sure if I should attach it to the scene, because I don't think it's a property of the scene, because it's something that can even control the scene. So it needs to be started on demand on a key press. So I think it's just part of the it's just part of somehow the mission. This is a complicated thing. Look how cute this is. Doesn't quite work. Or does it work? Maybe it works. Yeah, it works. Okay, so let's see how I do this. So when I press key U, this is the only place. No, mission goal poses. So this is the mission. Okay. Curious about. So around here, if what is this? Okay. So if I'm on initializing phase, if mission state is initializing, I need to create the controller on initializing. That's how late I need to do it. Okay. That's my controller run function, which now makes no sense anymore. So that means in the main loop I need to do this. So I need to do it like this. Controller is none, right? Controller equals none. I mean, it can be a controller, that's fine. And now I need to do the following. If scene dot mission, dot state of mission, the mission state equals mission state. Oh fuck. Mission state of initializing. If this is that, I need to create a controller. That means I need to do this thing here. Okay. And if controller is not none, initializing. Okay. Yeah, I think initializing, let's state ignition state equals ignition state running. Okay, into the controller that run. What don't you like about my function here? Oh, it was a stupid tab, I think, yeah. Okay. And if I do this, okay. Create the controller on demand only when the key was pressed and go into initializing mode. Okay. Very cool. I started based on whatever this thing I have. There is none here. Does this still work? I guess it does. Okay. And then when in the controller run thing, I just need to run it. That means I simplify the controller run function. I mean, sure. UAV. Yeah. Okay. So this one should be assert ignition state equals ignition state that we're running. Ignition should not run otherwise, basically. That means, okay, but when I'm oh shit, I need to be initializing, right? But, oh, I think I can do that on here. Self create dash. And basically this one should be sort. I mean, I can always do this, right? Ignition state that initial. Oh my god. Ignition state that initializing. Ignition state. And then I move all of this crap here. I remove this. I put it here. And all it here. Alright, all of this great stuff. I change, okay, maybe I should do this, not here, to be honest, part3, okay, save the trash, and I already changed the trash. Can always do this also, do it like this, return trash. So not create, oh my god, create trash. Okay, cool, so I do this, control level 1 here. Alright, let's see, so okay, press that, and here Whenever I initialize the thing, I do this, which I think is fair. Right, so this is where I update input and g and updates camera state, scene state, mission. Okay. And for level 2 trajectory, which is level 2 controller, probably need to do a similar thing, and I should do it basically on a run. There is not implemented, and just define it. And even on control level 2, maybe I do all of this. So that creates crash. This is running, maybe this is crashing, oh shit. This one is not running. Control level 2, is that it? Let's see. Okay, so I started, let's say I press U, it doesn't work, I press Y, I press U, it should crash. Really cool. Yeah, but maybe I shouldn't crash. Maybe I should like return none, without crashing. Turn on. Instance should yeah, I mean, if you think about it, control level 1 on the very end of things, it does mission or mission state equal mission or not started. Alright. Okay. Now I think it shouldn't even crash. So I can do this, and I can do this. I press scene.mission. Interesting. The mission is of the state. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, for 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is not working. It did something though. It started that. But if I do F6, presumably, basically I change the robot type. I do DT, Y, doesn't work. 536. Should have this trash here. 6. Change a bit the rotation and press Y. Press 1, 2, 3, 4. If I went a bit further, oh, it still goes backwards. Quite interesting. Okay, now it's better. Okay, so that works. I think that's more generic now. I'm getting a bit mentally tired. Let's do some little yeah, let's connect the client. So let's see if that still works. So I have this, and I can connect the client. I think client, and when I connect the client, I should get the velocity, the acceleration, all of that, and that still works. So that's nice. There is this position of velocity and acceleration. Probably need to update it a bit because apparently I shouldn't do absolutes, so maybe I should do relative ones. I don't know what to say about that. But in any case, and if I presumably reset, oh that died, server connection lost. Object of type JSON is not serializable. What? I don't understand the error. Wait a minute. This is already on news. Great. F6. Object of type JSON is not serializable. What did they want to say about that? This one is, no, it's not, it's the other one. Shit. Okay, so I think the problem is with UAV level 1 doing some stupid shit on here. I think this is the problem. I think this crashes. It should crash. There. Oh, yeah, it crashed. Thank you. So on TCP listen, I don't think the problem is there. 600 and actually the problem is there because this just calls who? This calls robot predict, and robot predict probably the same as if I could press F5. There you go. Object of type block, but where? I mean it should be on 2 digits. On UAV type 1 here, so something here is broken. I think max velocities, yeah. Couple. And what else do I have here? So I have pose, acceleration. I probably need previous acceleration as well, so this should be S equals. Then you have res of previous velocity equals state the previous velocity. I think we need to do this non-array, closer to 2. Okay, so I have previous velocity, which is this one. You have velocity, which is also not set. Velocity, closer to 2. What else am I missing? So velocity, previous velocity, okay, acceleration I get from that, max velocities. Okay, so we get max velocities from this color, pose is set there. I think that's all. Okay, I think that's all. So that means I can do this. I can press F5. It did not work. Maybe this needs to be list. did not work. Prev velocity. But I don't store prev velocity as well, which is prev. This one goes here. F5, F6, F6, oh, perfect. So that means I can go to git config, I can do this, I can start with level 2 robot, I can start it here, I can play with it, I can press Y, instead of 6, I can press Y, I can press Y, I can press Y, I can start it. Amazing. I can reset, I started level 2 drone, I press Y, I press Y, I press Y, I press W, it does nothing. I mean it started the trace but it does nothing. So I can reset the trace. And then I can F6, add a bunch of points, F5 maybe reset, add a bunch of points, F6, run, F5, reset, add a bunch of work during simulation. So I think everything is great. Holy shit. Yeah, it works. And even more, I think, oh yeah, this one is what I did before, so I can have this here, I run with it, okay, it works, but then I go F6 and I'm like, oh look, I'm a different type of drone now, I press F, I press run. Let's press F6, let's go a bit higher, let's press if I do this run, how will it do? Okay, doing that. I think this kind of looks like something. Then I can reset, and I'm a different type of drone. Can wait a bit. It still works. I don't know. Totally works. I'm a different type of drone, and now if I start moving, let's say I move, it should have a different profile for sure. Interesting that I start losing FPS now. I don't know exactly why. Maybe because I'm tired. But this is like related to somehow. No, it's not related. I think it's just my PC being a bit tired. It's amazing, don't you think? Yeah, I think this is amazing. I can watch this like all day. We still get data, I don't understand. We still get data here. Feels like it's broken. Where is the data? Like there's no data. it's not like it doesn't work, just it stopped working a bit. Maybe I should put like more than 100 here. I don't know, like 100, so it's like bigger. Fuck you. Oh, I pressed Isn't this cute? After you code for like the entire day, you like see what you've coded. I think it's cute. So now there should be only 200 entries here, the last 200, so it probably will update faster and you will see like more things. Yeah, we can just code things. Okay, so it's not buggy, right? Like you see the last 200, and probably at some point it will be 100 and 300 here, like after a while. And it should be like that, right? Very nice. Okay, here. I can do this kind of stuff, I can do this, I can go down, go up. Yeah, it's a bit crazy, but it works. I think it works. I can even do like the backflip, you know. Holy shit. Let's try to do a backflip one more time. Damn, there's go my FPS. Red FPS, holy shit. I think it's because I'm also streaming, hopefully. Because otherwise, why would it do that and then go back to 60? I think it's, or my PC is like a bit hammered. Oh, the client takes all, holy shit. Alright, this thing. Fuck. I need to optimize the client, I understand. It's good to know, at least. I wonder why you still see 0 here. It's buggy. But yeah, the client is, hold on. Yeah, the client was the problem. Okay, that makes sense. And then I can even do this, I can do this. I'm not changing the camera while I'm doing that. But I think I can change, yeah, I can change it here. I think I can press T, U. Yeah. F1, I can go a bit here. Press T, F2, U. Still doesn't do it. I want to avoid going backwards. So if I go like here, and maybe do it like here, press T twice and do F2. I think now it goes nicely. There you go, bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Alright, I think that's all for today. I don't know what to do next. Probably I need to add a mask to my drone, so I will go to UAV level 3. Yeah, this one is nicer to work with, but unfortunately it's not physically realistic, it just moves, it's like a camera. So, and maybe if you're used with games, this one is, you know, how you would do it, because it's just so smooth. The level 2 one is just meh. Okay. Let's do I have any leftover branches? So look, maybe I look over the plants. Current state. stuff has already been done. Robots, update .prod.md, latest state. Alright, I think this is where I'm ending. I will just try to data Claude MD file. By the way, this is kind of how I use Claude. So basically I have these plans and I'm trying to like get some high level ideas on how things should be implemented, but I implement them because I just don't want this thing to touch my code. And then I talk with it about physics and about stuff like how to proper, so what's so this is why I call it a level 2 UAV, because level 2 UAV implies acceleration. I mean, we came up with this together, but I think he came up with the levels, and then I think I added another level between 2 and 3 because I was already at level 2 and it said that I'm somewhere between 1 and 2, and I was like, no, I'm at level 2, and level 3 will add mass and inertia, which apparently inertia is this rotational mass, and yeah, that's next level. And then you add gravity. I think the first 4 levels are totally coverable without me knowing too much physics. Then when I add this motor dynamics and first order actuator lag, I don't even know what that means yet. I mean, I can have an idea of what it means, but we'll need to see. And then full quad rotor and so on. But at this point I will just need to have different types of robots, and yeah, maybe I'll have a car at some point, who knows.